Mr. Ambassador, welcome to Krakow, welcome to Kopiec Kościuszki, welcome to RMF FM. I'm happy that you are here with us.
Grzegorz, dziękuję za zaproszenie. I love Kraków. Kocham Kraków. I lived here, I spent a summer here 30 years ago at Dom Studencki Piast. And there's something very, very special about this hill that we are on at the station's headquarters, and also this just gorgeous city. I'm so happy to be back.
You are here because of celebration of Independence Day, and Independence Day this year precedes only by a couple of days very, very important summit of NATO in Vilnius. So please let me ask in the beginning, what can we expect from the summit in Vilnius, from the point of view of Ukraine, from the point of view of Eastern flank?
Sure. Well, Grzegorz, let's talk about why this gathering, why this NATO summit should be so important to the people of Poland. The reason why it's important is because we have seen that collective defense works. Polska jest bezpieczna, Poland is safe, I Polska jest zabezpieczona because it is in NATO. And we have now in Poland, of course, over 10,000 American soldiers, but they're standing shoulder to shoulder with NATO soldiers from other countries, and of course with Polish soldiers. And the Polish people are safe and secure. So this summit is to compare notes from the top leaders of 31 countries on how to continue to make us here in Poland, you as a Polish citizen, me as an American here in Poland, continue to be safe and secure. And it is also going to show the strategic failure of Putin and what he's done in Ukraine, because I emphasized 31 countries in this gathering. This gathering will also welcome Finland and hopefully soon Sweden as the two newest members of NATO. And what could be worse for a KGB agent in terms of what his decisions have produced than to expand NATO even further, and in this case, to include the Nordic countries. And I think that it is a incredibly important step that advances the security of the Northern European region. And so that's what this summit will be about.
The most important question is, what about Ukraine, and what about the chances Ukraine has to become member of NATO? What's the American intention at the moment about that?
So to be clear, I do not want to get in front of any announcements to be made at the NATO summit. But I think actions speak louder than words. What have we seen in the last year and 4 months? We've seen the Ukrainian people win battles that I'm not sure everyone thought that they would win a year ago. We see the West supplying weapons that a year ago, I'm not sure we thought would be supplied to the Ukrainian people. As the Russian tactics have changed, as Russian cruelty has continued, our tactics have changed. Let me emphasize this. As U.S. Ambassador to Poland and as President Biden's personal representative to Poland, we are grateful for the role Poland is playing in helping provide the security of the transatlantic region, because it is on the front line of a war zone. And we are grateful. We say dziękuję, 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 dziękuję to the Polish people for supporting the Ukrainian people the way you're doing it. Poland has introduced itself to the world as a humanitarian superpower. We see the critical role Poland is playing, and this is something that will be noted at the summit and beyond.
We have a very big Air Defender 23 exercise in over Germany right now. Is this a very important message that the eastern flank of NATO is safe and will be secured?
Well, what we're seeing from the Defender exercises, but also many, many other exercises, including exercises in Poland and in the Baltic, also in the Baltic and Nordic region, is that we are showing everyone who needs to see that we can deploy, meaning activate our troops and military capacities quickly and dynamically and where we need to be. And that we have thought through every contingency. What does that mean, Grzegorz, for your listeners? That means we have thought through what the Russian military could do. A close chance and a far off chance in terms of what the Russian military could do. And we are ready for every and any contingency. And we do these exercises in groupings that are meant to convey a message. So I was able to bear witness to a military exercise close to the Suwałki Gap 2 months ago in Poland. And the Suwałki Gap, every one of your listeners will know the symbolism of doing something close to the Suwałki Gap. And we did that live fire military exercise with American tanks, Polish tanks, German tanks, and other NATO tanks, but hence the countries that I invoke. We do these exercises with the combinations that will be called upon given any and every contingency. And the exercises are getting us ready. We have learned a lot in our exercises, and we do this while we continue to supply and support the Ukrainian people. And President Biden is clear that the 50-country coalition that he leads will be supporting the Ukrainian people until this war is over and until the very end of this.
How would you describe the cooperation with Poland, not only during the war in Ukraine, but also after that? The cooperation, military, political, economic. Is it an intention of United States to make Poland stronger in Europe?
We are already beginning to think of what Central Europe looks like after the Ukrainian people win. And Secretary of State Tony Blinken, in a speech in Finland 2 weeks ago to welcome Finland into NATO, made clear, we want Ukraine not just to survive, we want Ukraine to thrive. That means that Ukraine must be brought into, must be assimilated into the supply chains, the logistics chains, the technology context, the zone of prosperity and modernization that Europe itself has. And it really is an incredibly opportunity-filled moment for the Polish people. President Biden has been clear with the Polish president. Poland will have a critical role in the transformation and rebuilding of Ukraine just because of its geostrategic location and because the way it's interacted with the Ukrainian people. It's like the Natalie Hawkins song. The Natalie Hawkins song is entitled Love is the Answer. The Polish people have shown the Ukrainian people that love is the answer by welcoming the Ukrainians into your apartments and homes. We know it's hard, but you've built a lot of credibility with your next door neighbor, the Ukrainians, that will behoove the region when it is rebuilt and transformed. And the exciting part, Grzegorz, is that I am seeing now more announcements by major American businesses investing in Poland today than I did a year ago, close to the beginning of my ambassadorship. Why? Because the Polish people have shown something special. They've shown an asset they've shown that this country has an asset, and that is the reactive mobilization of the Polish people. Like the American people after Pearl Harbor was attacked, like the American people after President John F. Kennedy said we have to win the race to the moon, the American people showed a reactive mobilization. The Polish people have done that in history, and the Polish people have done that in 2022 and 2023, and it is profoundly attractive profoundly attractive to American investors. And I'm excited about what opportunities are coming the way of young Polish people. I met with a group of young Polish people yesterday in Warsaw, and I said to them, I wish I was a young Polish person right now. The opportunities coming their way will be amazing if we stay aligned and on the right path around here.
Let me ask you about another opportunity, which may be connected with something called in America decoupling from China and necessary shortening the supply chains. Can Poland be important part of that? And can our connection with America be strengthened because of this?
Well, we want to de-risk our relationship with China. And we want to be careful in terms of what China is doing abroad. But I think de-risk is the important word, not necessarily decouple. And so that's the word I would use. But I feel very confident about the leadership of Joe Biden, Secretary Blinken, as they manage a strategy as it pertains to China.
If we want to have stronger industry, for example, defense industry in Poland, we need something extremely important right now. So affordable, greener, stable sources of energy. And United States becomes the source of LNG gas for us, and of course, nuclear energy. Sure. How important, from your point of view of cooperation between our states, is this nuclear cooperation?
Well, Grzegorz, energy is the new keel in the relationship between America and Poland. And it is an important decision Poland has made. And it also opens up tremendous opportunity for the Polish people. First, what is the important decision? To get away from the twin addictions of coal and Russian source energy, Poland has made the decision to deploy LNG sourced energy and power production, has made the incredibly important decision to utilize Westinghouse large-scale nuclear power plant technology and to have Bechtel, the American construction company, build it. That will create the first AP1000 large nuclear power plant in Poland. Not a moment too soon. I was ambassador to Sweden for 4 years. Sweden has, at 10 million people, something more like half a dozen or more nuclear power plants. Poland, at 40 million people, has no nuclear power plants. It is high time to build out that energy source, and an important decision was made to deploy a large-scale nuclear power plant, the AP1000 by Westinghouse and Bechtel, and then small modular reactors, a number of them whose sites have already been identified to be done by GE and Hitachi. This will unleash an energy revolution in Poland to create more reliable, sustainable energy. But what's the opportunity for the Polish people? The United States Department of Energy sees this, and that's why the U.S. Department of Energy is building, for the first time ever, a overseas center on nuclear energy and on clean energy just outside of Warsaw. And they're doing that to help Poland create a workforce educated in part by our great universities and educated in part by our 18 national laboratories, so it can be ready on day one for its own nuclear industry. And the opportunity for the Polish people is that this energy technology, nuclear, LNG, other forms of alternative energy like wind, will be spread out all across Central Europe, including after the Ukrainians win in Ukraine. And Poland, in many ways, will be a regional focal point for energy, for modern energy source construction and transmission in all of Central Europe. That is a propitious opportunity for the next generation in Poland that will benefit young Poles for the next 100 years.
let me ask you the last short question concerning the cooperation in space, because administrator of NASA, Bill Nelson, told us about these possibilities. How did you manage to welcome him to Poland?
Well, thank you, Grzegorz, for talking about the chief of the U.S. space program, NASA Administrator Bill Nelson's visit to Poland 2 weeks ago. It's something that, as U.S. ambassador, I had been working on for more than a year and a half, because I know about Poland's heritage in the great sciences, in space. This is the land of Nicholas Copernicus. This is the land of Marie Curie Skłodowska. And I've met enough Polish young people to see the incredible capacity of young people in Poland when it comes to technology, innovation, science, and engineering. So a year and a half ago, in my first week as ambassador, I actually flew back to Washington to take part in a meeting between Foreign Minister Rao, Polish Foreign Minister Rao, and Secretary Blinken. But then I stepped away from those meetings and I went over to the NASA headquarters. And I asked the NASA administrator, the chief of the U.S. space program, to come to Poland. And he asked me, what would he see if he came to Poland? And I described the history, the heritage, the incredible innovation and thinking in Poland, including about space, but also about technologies and mechanisms and engineering relevant to the NASA program. And I said, Administrator Nelson, come and see for yourself. Come meet with the Polish Space Agency. Come to meet with Polish companies that want to be part of the NASA program. Most importantly, go to the Copernicus Center in Warsaw and talk with them about your goals in space. And that's what Bill Nelson did. He went to the Copernicus Center and described how Artemis will have, for the first time, a woman going into the space, to the moon, and so forth, and how a Polish young person may be part of these missions, and that truly the sky is the limit in terms of Polish participation in space. And I was thrilled that beyond visits by U.S. military officials, which are, of course, incredibly important, U.S. business officials who are incredibly important visit, that we had the chance for our tippy top person in space come to Poland and to share his thoughts and opportunities with the people who have just tremendous potential. The sky's the limit in terms of Polish potential in space, and to give them a chance to join America's space program, which is meant to be inclusive of the world. And I am looking forward to continuing to advance the leads that we were able to identify during his visit. But it took a year and a half to do, and I was so proud that he was here, and I was so proud to show off the Poland that I know.
Thank you very much. Happy Independence Day.
Happy Independence Day. Thank you. Święty Dzień Niepodległości.
Tak jest.